Welcome again to the Ivan Files, here with the crab wrestler, but we're not going to talk about crab wrestling today. We're going to talk about something that the staff didn't know about, and they've set it up right for that. And you'll find out what that is in a minute. I've been doing a little research, still in Genesis a lot, and still with the book of Enoch. And this is another what's left out of the Bible, which I think I showed you last time. But there is a interpretation or an analysis, if you will, of the book of Enoch, which is makes it a little bit clearer. The book of Enoch, as I was reading it from another translator, was a little difficult to just read and read. So one of the things that I ran across here is what was to happen with the Watchers. You remember what the Watchers were? The Watchers were the angels that were sent to earth by the good Lord with the express purpose of helping mankind. And what they did was, well, the good Lord probably set them up in a way, but maybe you shouldn't say that. He arranged it so that there were a lot of beautiful women that were daughters of the men that were on the earth and created, if you will, to be on the earth. So what happened, though, is that the Watchers got really enamored with them, and they took them as wives, but they weren't supposed to do that. Now, it's important to understand that the Watchers were spirit beings, and their home was in heaven, one of the heavens. Well, when they did what they did, taking the humans as wives, then they had children. And these children were incredibly different people. They were Nephilim. Remember what Nephilims were? Well, there were in Genesis, there were cherubims, seraphims, and Nephilims. The cherubims were the little things that go around singing and playing, not guitars, but harps and so on. And the seraphims, I think, were people looking after doing what they're supposed to do. And the Nephilim were giants. Now, in this book, it says that when their judgment comes, I presume it was the waters of the flood the first time. It says there were Nephilim before and after. That's an important concept to get. They were after as well. Well, now let's think a minute. There are things that we talk about in 2023 and have been talking about for quite some time. And they are very tall creatures, about 7 feet tall, they say. They don't talk, as far as we know, and they don't eat, as far as we know, because there is no evidence that they have had anything at all to eat. There's no evidence that they eat other creatures or plants or anything. So, these creatures could very well be part spirit and part human as a result of being the children of the watchers, the angels, and the women. So, what you have here is perhaps, you might want to think about this. Perhaps there are some of these giants, perhaps there's some Nephilim left over, not just skeletons on Malta, but perhaps these Nephilim have migrated to the northwest forests and southwest forests and are going about the forests, and they're teasing people. That is to say, they appear from time to time, and they scream and yell, then they disappear. They just disappear. And the reports are that they show up, then they disappear. That's exactly what the Nephilim did. And if you think about it, perhaps there are Nephilim alive today, and you know what we call them? Bigfoot. And that's why this forest background was very timely today. They didn't know I was going to talk about this, but I didn't tell them either. But it's a possibility. Just think about it. Is it a possibility? Remember, they were before and after. And all of those characteristics that they have. Nobody's ever found any bones. Nobody's ever killed one. That there's been reported, or there's been bones taken or skulls or any of that. The only ones they found are in Malta, but those were from long ago. So I would just like you to think about that. That when Genesis says, when it says in here that they will be part spirit beings and part human beings that don't eat, and they go around and do evil things, is what they say in here that they do, then there might be something to think about with regard to that. One of the other things I want you to think about a little bit is that the only full-bore Bible in the world is the Ethiopian Bible. This is left out of the Bible. I've shown you the other one that was left out of the Bible. The Ethiopian books that were not included in the standard Bible, standard revision, or whatever, the Protestant or Catholic Bibles. So the only real Bible that's extant in the world is the Ethiopian Bible. And if you want to see what all's in there, get a copy of the Ethiopian Bible and read it. Let me look here a minute. There was one other creature that was referred to in Genesis in kind of a tongue-in-cheek way, I think, was the translation. I'm not sure, though, because when the translations came by, they said they were snakes. When the serpents talked to, was it Eve or Lilith or whatever, that the serpents talked. And one of the things that was going to happen here is that the good Lord would manage the serpents for the newly created human beings in Eden. So, but you know, it sounds funny to me. Why would the good Lord want to manage just a snake? Why would he want to do that? I wouldn't, presume to guess why they would. But he's going to manage the serpents. What are the serpents? Were there serpent people? The people who delve into ancient alien kinds of stuff seem to say that maybe there was, and maybe they're still here, and maybe we just don't see them. But they are serpent people. That is to say, they are reptilian-based people and not well, not like us. We're not reptilian, but the serpent people would have been reptilian. So what do you think about that? So it's what I'm asking you to do is think about some of the stuff you read, and don't just take it for granted that because a translator said, "Oh well, that was just a snake," but that's what it was. Or that was just a giant and they're all gone and nobody has any giants anymore and they don't know where they are, and there are no real, there's no real evidence to those giants. Well, yes, there is. There's evidence to giants, to 7, 8, 9 feet tall, 10 feet tall, and in the land that was given to the Israelites as they came out of Egypt and then the desert and then on over. They were supposed to have the land of milk and honey. Well, they sent some envoys into this land, and the envoys came back and said, "We can't go there because we can't meet those people. They're too big. They're too fierce." And so the good Lord was very unhappy with them. And that's all in Exodus as well. And I think it's talked about again it's in Genesis, but I think it's talked about again in Exodus. So anyway, that's that. I think that's all I'm going to talk about today. I give you something to think about. And when you go off into the woods, in the northwest woods, and you see little furry, huge creatures looking at you from behind a tree, well, maybe you know something about that. So I'll talk to you next time. And if you got something to say, send me an email. It's ivan.fraser@gmail.com. And you wanna get some money for your kids, especially the ones that need a lot of help. Try looking up come on, what is it? It's a
Stokes Auction Group.
A what?
Stokes Auction Group.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, look at that. Yeah. So I'll see you next time.
Good job, Dad.